In 2012, I wrote Peter Reiling an email. Peter was then the head of AGLN. I had just left an investment committee meeting in New York City, where I was chief investment advisor to Mayor Bloomberg. Bob Steele, then chairman of Aspen Institute, was my boss. And I said, we need a fellowship of leaders in finance, because finance as an industry is not having the conversations that we have here at Aspen that compels leaders to use finance to build a good society. Peter wrote me back and said, great, do it. For months, Peter would write me. Harris Barton, my dear beloved Henry Crown Fellow, would nudge me. Do it. Guys, I'm too busy. I have a job, I'm running things. I can't do it. I can't. And then I came to Act 2. That's what we called Action Forum back then. And I was over in Brecher, far, far away, and an amazing Henry Crown Fellow, who to this day is one of my greatest sources of inspiration, an artist named Janet Eckelman, was presenting. When Chris asked Michael, where are you, Michael? When Chris asked Michael just now, what got you to do this? What was the leadership lesson learned? He said, leap of faith, or he said a giant leap. I asked Janet in 2012, how do you get to design these soaring sculptures that just move so many people and change the way city dwellers interact with their cities? She said, a giant leap of faith. And we ended, and I was the last one to walk out, and I was walking down this stunning Anderson Way. And at the end of the road, right here, I could see Peter and Skip. And the entire journey here, I said to myself, do it. And I walked over to Peter, and I walked over to Skip, and I said, I'm going to do it. I committed in this very place, in this very room, to building the Aspen Finance Leaders Fellowship Program. Magic did not happen until Chris joined me, but we did it. This place, this community, these courageous conversations, the inspiration of all of the fellows who've gone before, compelled something in me to commit to go down a very hard, uncomfortable path. I am so honored to be part of Anand and my presentation today, to really begin to share with you some of the fellows who are going to join me up here on stage to make their compelling commitments to action. So first, let me welcome Ashley Bell, Civil Society Fellow. Where are you, Ashley? Hey.
Not coming alone, so I wanted to make sure I brought up Dr. King one more time. Give a round of applause to Dr. Bernice King. Let's go to the podium. Oh. Really excited about this announcement. And for all those who came to our dinner to help us ideate around what we're about to announce, thank you. This one is especially curated for the people in this room, so we're really excited about it. Go first? This mic first.
Oh, great. I know I'm supposed to do this quick, but I just have to say, what we witnessed, what you all have done, is a manifestation of the beloved community. Powerful. And my parents are smiling right now. So we're proud to announce today the alignment of the King Center and the Aspen Institute to create what my mother envisioned the King Center to become, which is the West Point for nonviolent leaders.
Together, the King Center and the Aspen Institute will work to create a laureate program for AGLN alumni to advance and deepen their understanding and practice of love-centered leadership inspired by the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. This is for you.
Wow. Thank you. In the spirit of Watts, we turn now to Know My Story, an initiative that speaks volumes, as Anand reminded us of the imperative to do of listening. Shadia, where are you? Please. Shadia El-Muchi, Henry Crown Fellow, Jacob Ner-David, Elizabeth Farrow, and Melly Fellow for Sam Hussein. Okay.
Hi, everyone. And there's actually a lot more than the four of us who are here. Jay, Esther, Nikki, Nicole. I think we are so many, and I'm so grateful for everyone in this room. When October 7 hit, the suffering that ensued for this community and for the communities, for our communities from where we are, decades of suffering that had compiled well before October 7, and that just seemed to explode when October 7 happened. It tore us apart. And as a community, we really felt the pain and the suffering. And we felt we weren't able to talk to each other anymore. And that was a huge realization for us, that it's not possible for enlightened leaders to be in obscurity and not to be able to communicate with each other. And so we came together, a leap of faith, an act of love, an act of courage, an act of trust. And we said, let's talk. Let's try to see what we can do to bring some peace to each other and some peace to our communities. And we've been working hard. We felt quite a lot along the way. We tried the declaration that was a miserable failure. And what we really realized is that there was no trust. We had to rebuild the trust. And we did that through listening. And that's how Know My Story was born. We actually got different stories from people who were suffering because of the situation from all the different angles, whether it's an Israeli, a Palestinian, an American, anyone who had an angle, who had a story to tell. And we said, let's put everybody in a room. It's a Zoom room, but that's what we had. And we said, just listen to each other. You're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to argue back. You're just going to listen to the story. Take in what the person is saying. Take in what the person is feeling. Sit with the discomfort. Feel the pain. And realize that their pain is yours. Pain is one. It's just one. And Know My Story was born. And from that, we were changed. I would fly. We were saying that we would go anywhere in the world for each other and to try to help each other out. And from that, we were changed, and we want to change our communities. So Know My Story is just the beginning. It's in the spirit of Watts. It's, so now I'm not just saying know My Story, I'm thinking Know My Story, Thinkwatts. This is what we're going to be doing. So next steps, we want to scale this. We want to take this, maybe it might be a continuation of the Know My Story. It might be different steps, policy change, but it's going to be action, and it's going to be a lot of acts of love, of courage, of understanding, of listening, of imagination, and of magic, because it's incredible, the unlimitless potential of if you put committed, caring, empathetic, and loving people in a room, and they talk to each other and they listen to each other, magic is bound to happen. So thank you.
Stix talked about his multi-year partnership with MasterCard. I am so delighted to welcome my beloved friend, MasterCard leader, Henry Crown Fellow, Shamina Singh.
Okay, I'm not going to make it through, so I brought up my the head of MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, head of the Americas, John Fantini Porter. So So we've been working for Stix for, as he said, about 5 years, and he's a miracle maker. So you heard the music, but this guy has created economic mobility, jobs, small business work, just to name a few things in Watts through Thinkwatts. Over the past however many years, we've funded about $1.2 million for Stix's work. We don't have a very polished commitment, but after yesterday and talking to other fellows, we decided very quickly to re-up.
To continue and to capture what I think Shamina knows and what everyone in this room knows, a continuation of bringing light to something that Stix brings, which is truth to pain and to love, right? Every single day and every word he brings forth to this world. And it is such an honor for us to be able to continue, as Shamina said, our continued support for your work in these next years ahead with MasterCard and with the Skoll Foundation to continue to bring light to your work, Stix. What we'd ask and what we bring forth to everyone in this room is a hope that as you are moved by yesterday's film, that you too would stand up and continue to bring light to Stix work, and together we can bring truth to the pain and the love that you bring in such a beautiful way. So thank you.
Marla Blow, who is a Skoll Fellow, I called her, I texted her, she was on the plane home just a little while ago, and I said, Marla, I'm gonna get up and stand up and make a commitment for Watts and Stix. I was like, are you in? And she said, yes, I'm in. And she said, the reason I'm in is because Eric and Jimmy were in our session. And she was like, we can't say no to Eric and Jimmy. So Marla Blow from the plane texted back. She's the CEO of the Skoll Foundation, and without a minute said, I'm in too. That's the power of the fellowship and the network. So we love you, Stix. Thank you.
Shamina, stand. I'm going to ask Shamina to stay up here and ask Heather Son to come up so that they can talk a little bit about building on a commitment they made from the last Action Roundtable session on the Act 3 legacy. Go ahead.
Last year, we spoke a little bit about a plan that we were hatching, and it came as a result of an alumni program that Keith Berwick originally, he and I did together. It was called Pursuing the Good Life, and it was far more concerned with the interior work of fellows. Shamina was on one of those, and that group that met in, where did you meet? Jordan. Nikki's here too, meets every year as a result of that, and I think it was about 12 years ago. We then decided that we needed to, in the spirit of Keith Berwick, who said that we must make love irresistible, we decided to create a new fellowship. It was really Shamina. We were in a car with Keith in Ghana at one of our reunions, and we were driving, and Shamina said, we got to do this. We've got to create an Act 3 seminar. So we announced that we would do that last year. We have created the curriculum. The targeted fellow is someone who has met a new inflection point, so a later stage of life, someone who is thinking about the rest of their life and they want to be really meaningful and purposeful about it. We focus on the interior work, which goes on the assumption that hurt people. And we create an opportunity for them with a 6-month break to get proximate to something that they really care about. They are later stage. They are thinking about their resources, how they want to deploy it, what they want to do with their time and energy, and then they come back after 6 months to work on pure creation. What is it if you are a vessel, and what is it that you need to transmit, and what will you do in this later stage of life? So we've now created the curriculum. We have the first cohort selected. We will meet in September in Greece and then in Japan in March. Yeah.
All week, many fellows have been compelled and moved by the stories, the conversations, and community to make their own commitments to action. We're going to watch a short video with some of their commitments.
This is the dog sour.
Where it's on.
Just a warm-up, easy question.
I love it.
We're lifting this hope science out of these academic journals. We are tech enabling it through AI and technology, and we're in the process of bringing it to thousands and hopefully hundreds of thousands and millions of young people.
It's never been more critical for me to address the issue of youth looking for work and finding work that is meaningful.
To develop, to innovate, and to provide tools where people can build trust.
What we're here to do at Live Every, and with my first company, Happy Family, is give parents the tools that they need to feel confident that they're doing everything they can to do to help give their child a bright future.
To create a new generation, a future generation of physician leaders dedicated to combating health disparities.
Empowering young people in conflict zones.
To bridge modern medical science with traditional indigenous Maya medicine.
Moving youth in China from what's in it for me mentality to how can I be of service to others.
I'm not going to end my life without making a difference in malnutrition in Guatemala.
I'd love to commit to listening to the youngest generation of our team. I think they have entirely different experiences, offer different way of thinking, and see the world in a different way that helps the entire organization to evolve and keep our team young.
There's still so many voices and untapped potential throughout that Latino American space, and so I am trying to bring more of this fellowship into South America.
Our mission is to treat and prevent malnutrition in the world's most vulnerable children.
The problem I am committing to solving is gender equality. That is why I work on sexual and reproductive rights, because when women can have access to these services, they are empowered to act in a better way in a society and in the political arena.
This is fun, thank you.
I hope that was okay.
We love to see the power of community in individual action. What has also happened this week is the commitment of fellows across fellowships to come together in collaborative action. First up, please welcome with me leaders who are committed to building the Technology Leaders Initiative here at Aspen. Jen Shu Scott, China Fellowship, and Ailish Campbell, Finance Leaders Fellowship.
Thank you, Ranji. Come on. It's no secret that AI and cutting-edge technology has my attention between the nation I was born and the nation that I spent a lot of time with, China and the US. However, the most difficult problems we're facing in the world, from climate change to cure cancer, to give your next generation the best life and best healthy life that we can possibly give, are not American nor Chinese. They're just human. So our commitment is to come together to build, launch tech leadership initiative, bring 20 AI leaders and also in general tech industry to have the conversation we are having. And we hope to bring that value, reflect the beautiful diversity of humanity we see in this room. And should we invite Professor Nigel Shambert and Joseph Springfu come up the stage as well. Thank you very much for your partnership from Oxford University and also Middle East University of AI. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So inspired by the testimony and actions that we've seen this week, and really the important piece of just starting to take action. So to help inspire even more action, I'll just tell you the very short origin story of this was at a Finance Leaders Fellowship when Chris, where are you? Chris Viralis and the amazing Ranji were talking about the importance of bringing enlightened leadership and thinking about a good society to other sectors. And on an evening walk with Layla Sturdy and Verdun Perry, who are fellows in my class, we started talking about where we thought we could bring this. And immediately, like literally all three of us at the same time said, tech bros. Technology, as investors, as regulators, as partners, as co-founders. And then I think immediately from that inspiration, we were inspired to talk with Jen, with Amy, with others on the nucleus of this, and making sure that we brought it not into just uncomfortable conversations between sectors, but between countries. And I'm going to ask, I haven't asked to all of you, and that is to work with us in trust, that there will be difficult conversations. We are going to talk about freedom and democracy and security. We are going to talk about climate change and the impact that digital and AI technologies are having on youth. It is not going to be easy conversations, but please refer us, people that you know have the heart, the soul, the time, and the space to have those difficult conversations with us. And we were brought through Amy and others, these incredible partners in Abu Dhabi and in Oxford. And I think part of this is just the incredible partnerships that we're going to be able to bring through your connections in the Tech Fellow initiative.
Thank you. Before we leave the stage, I just want to particularly thank one person. We have witnessed a lot of magic this week, and there's one person in Aspen Institute is somehow connected to all the magic we're witnessing. Without him being so instrumental to the Watts project, Watts will not be a reality. And without him, Finance Fellowship will not be funded. And without him, China Fellowship will not be relaunched. And without him, the Tech Fellowship, Tech and Leader Initiative will not be started as well. So Chris, I'd like you to stand up. So for people who have not seen you, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. Thank you.
And we got to celebrate his birthday with him this week. Happy birthday, Chris. The collaborations you are seeing extend not just across fellowships anymore. The next group I'm going to invite up is a collaboration across Finance Leaders Fellows, Health Innovators Fellows, and a significant policy program here at Aspen, the Health, Medicine, and Society program. Let me please welcome Bahia Yasmin Robinson from FLF, Catherine Finney, also FLF, David Rosenthal from Health, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. Just kick us off.
Great. I am so inspired by the courageous curiosity and bravery in this room that I had to bring my notes. And I just appreciated, thank you everyone for getting proximate, keeping us hopeful, changing the narrative, and doing uncomfortable things. Thank you so much for that. I'm a primary care physician in class 6 of the Health Innovators Fellowship, Love and Revolution. And I work in a federally qualified health center in Connecticut. And we're living in interesting times. We have 2 healthcare systems in the United States, and it's failing as a whole. We spend twice that of other OECD nations, and we rank consistently at the bottom in quality, access, equity, and a declining life expectancy. At the same time, just 3 weeks ago, we had the largest cuts in healthcare into the safety net since 1965 in this country. And we are reeling in healthcare, trying to figure out how to serve our communities. So, we are very grateful to start the conversation between the Health Innovators Fellows and the Finance Fellows to start a connection, a journey, a conversation about solutions, bringing us together to help us stay hopeful and do uncomfortable things.
Thank you so much. So as you all know now, FLF was created to catalyze impact through finance, and we take it very seriously with the support and leadership of Ranji and Chris. This was a very interesting gathering because we had about 90 minutes to rapidly innovate and iterate on solutions when there are so many challenges, both that are here currently, across government or in lieu of government support, and also coming down the pike, right? So we were really dug in quickly and tried to figure out how can finance catalyze impact in the healthcare space. So we came up with 3 things. Very proud to say that we were able to really come together and be in action. So one is an index of innovative capital tools that can invest and support the healthcare system at large, right? So we want to make sure that we have a very comprehensive directory of capital tools. So we wanted to start there because we realized that many healthcare providers, including doctors and ER room doctors, et cetera, just didn't know where to turn for those tools. The next one is an index of investors, right? So you have the tools. Now, who can actually map to those types of investments? Some investments are not going to be venture capital or private equity, and Catherine will talk a little bit more about that. The next one is an index of focus areas. So again, kind of creating this index and this mapping system that I'm sure with the help of our supporters and the foundation that's starting to kick this off, we can get to a place of a directory that's very comprehensive.
We also want to give a thank you to the filmmakers of Nothing to See Here. So while we're not rival gangs or law enforcement, we do come from very different spaces. You have real estate developers, you had physicians, you have government officials, you have people like myself in private equity and venture capital, and we often, rarely, are ever in the same room, and rarely are we ever speaking the same language. But we started to speak the same language yesterday. And one of the things that we came up with, which was so exciting, was that there needed to be a new capital stack. We need to rethink how we fund health equity. And we came up with some amazing ideas. And some of them were ones that already exist, like donor-advised funds and program-related investments from foundations. And then we started to get a little wild and crazy, right? Which is the Aspen way. And we started to think of crypto and what ways could a new wealth being created from crypto be used, and new taxation strategies, and a lot of really exciting ideas that would not have come forth if we did not have the space we have here at Aspen. And so we're very excited about the future, and I think those of us in the session would agree, and some of the ideas that came out, and some of the ways that we can act as health leaders, but also financial leaders.
Thank you. It sounds like we had very, very productive, I now have 2 mics, impact sessions. The only thing worse than 1 Ranji is 2 Ranjis. I also want to give a shout out to the Catalyzing Finance panel and to Elizabeth Vasquez for coming up with an idea that with AGLN Connect, we really now need to build forums to connect fellows across fellowships who can really benefit from understanding each other's works. And Elizabeth, the proposal was for an action, not action forum, action group across the Connect platform. And we had identified at least 5 areas based on the one conversation we had in the room that fellows could meaningfully connect across Kali, Africa, all the Africa fellowships, finance, and many others. So a huge shout out and a hope that AGLN Connect becomes very real and very quickly begins as a platform to assimilate and share ideas, hopefully with lots more announcements to come in the years ahead. I'd like to invite up Simi Nwagugu, Ali West Africa Fellow, a leader who's on a mission to empower millions in Africa. Simi will tell us how this week inspired her to commit to action.
Thank you very much. I don't belong in this room, or I didn't think I belonged when I came for the first time last year, because I was born to parents who were lower middle class, working class parents who couldn't afford childcare. So I was sitting in my mother's job doing my homework when her boss saw me doing my homework and said she's too brilliant for public school. and effectively facilitated a scholarship to private school that changed my life. Ended up with a full scholarship to Mount Holyoke College in the US and then Harvard Business School, and now I'm here at Aspen. I say that because 1 in 3 girls in Africa do not get to go to secondary school. 1 in 3 girls are married by the age of 14. We have the highest rate of adolescent birth rates in the world, the highest rate of out-of-school youth, the highest rate of gender-based violence. 1 in 3 girls have experienced sexual violence before the age of 18. These are not statistics. These are girls who are living in hell. I run the Africa operations for Junior Achievement, and we teach entrepreneurship across Africa. And I realized what entrepreneurship was doing for the confidence of girls, and so brought 50 outstanding girls from secondary schools who had led their businesses to Lagos for a leadership empowerment camp for girls. And we've been doing that now for over 25 years. But every single year, there is at least 1 girl or 2 who does not want to go back home because there's an uncle raping them who's also the benefactor of the family, so the parents have to turn a blind eye to that. Or sometimes it's even the biological father raping them. And so when I participated in the Africa Leadership Initiative, and they said, your venture has to be something about a big problem you want to solve, it was easy for me to say, this is the problem I want to solve, but I didn't know how to solve it. And it was during the process of going through the seminar and coming here last year that it really formulated in my mind, and I established what is now called the 10 Million African Girls Initiative. And this week, I don't know if it was deliberate, but thank you for bringing Africa to the stage from day 1 with the ambassador, and then Patrick on day 2, and then reading Chimamanda and Ben Okri. I really feel like I belong. And I'm making a commitment that I'm going to bring some of those girls here within the next 2 to 3 years. That is my action. That of those girls that were part of, we launched 10 Million African Girls on International Women's Day with 52 girls. And I'm making the commitment that of those girls, 2 of them were from correctional facilities in Eswatini. These are girls who have been written off. And they went through this week, and they're now really going back to their communities to do great things. And I want you all to really join me in this movement, because Africa is the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Simi's work reminds me that the most moving part of Watts, for me, were the young people who told the community to take back the community. Across AGLN, we have fellows working with youth leaders. Yemi at Moonshot, Sharmi at Harambe, and so many more. And so, yes, while Stace Lindsay's appointment was the most exciting thing that happened for me at AGLN, the Center for Rising Generations is just so much, gives me so much hope in the youth leaders. Now let me please invite another group, which is also an outcome of our Action Roundtable sessions this morning. Please welcome Cody Kinsley, Civil Society, Hasina Karbi, KBF, India Bajaj Fellowship, Health Innovator Fellows, Benson Chu, and Wayne Franklin.
Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here in the midst of hundreds of people dedicated to making a difference in the world. This morning, we gathered a group of you to take on the challenge that we all have seen grow exponentially in our worlds, and that is an issue of how do we support the health and well-being of migrant children? And we started by taking a step back and kind of thinking about how this issue has changed so dramatically over the last decade and a half. One where it was deferred action for childhood arrivals here in the US that built one of the strongest bipartisan efforts to get us closer to immigration reform than we've ever been before. To a place now where out of a fear of scarcity and a fear of safety, people are turning against even providing services for them. That just recently, in the past few weeks, we've had changes in administration that have forced public dollars to be no longer used for these communities. Only the Aspen community and their diverse perspective, global, clinical, policy, national, local, to come together to try to bring a better definition to this problem. To understand how we got to where we are today, we worked in our room this morning to have a better definition and understanding of where we are. And our commitments in that room were to act in two ways. First, to act quickly. That no matter what's happening on the policy space, no matter how frustrating it is, people are suffering today, and we have got to rise together to mobilize services to help provide care. And that looks like building on what we already know works: the power of trust, community health workers, to lift up models like what the Wonderful Company is doing and others to try to build connections and to serve people, and to provide frameworks and ways to talk about it that provides cover for institutions to do it safely, to try to mobilize philanthropy, to try to get what normally is very structured into what sometimes can be a very unstructured space. And second, to think the long game here, to recognize the power of the stories of those people helped, that this can't just be about focusing on immigrants and migrants. It has to be focusing on how this helps everybody. This helps us all be safer. This helps us all be healthier. And this takes on the challenges of the future. Those are our actions moving forward in our group. You know who you are. You will be held accountable. And I'm so grateful to my colleagues here who helped us have such a deep conversation. And thank you all.